What is one myth or misconception about your generation?
Is that we're responsible for every one of society's grievances.
I think it is that we have this sense of entitlement. I don't know, I personally have worked with a lot of folks from my own generation, and I do think that by and large, we're people who want to be successful, care about the work that we're doing, and take a lot of pride in our careers. So I don't know, I haven't run into that as much as you hear about it.
Following the traditional model of career, buying a house, building a family. Definitely, I think the market has changed. Like real estate is more expensive these days. There's definitely still people who, want that. However, I think with the flexibility of moves of work, there is way more people of my generation who are seeking lives that come out of this model and maybe don't involve purchasing real estate, involve moving around, a bit more having careers that span not only across the country, but across the globe.
Describe a monumental experience that you feel shaped or characterized your generation. The monumental event has been the last two financial crises. It stifled our initial earning potential. And then more recently, the massive layoffs from some of the most profitable companies have impacted our financial stability. And I feel like these events have set back millennials from earning or building generational wealth. Previous generations have been able to do so.
For me, it was the financial crisis of 2008 and the subsequent recession. That was right when I was graduating from college, and it really kind of sent me to the depths of despair in thinking about how I was going to start my own career, and kind of scuttled all the plans I'd made for myself. But we adapt.
I think this was a monumental experience for all generations, but I wanted to speak to how it touched millennials particularly. So COVID, and I felt this personally, but I was also surrounded by like friends and people in a similar age range. For example, I graduated from my MBA right before COVID happened. And so I went from being on I would say, very upward trajectory career wise. I had been a full year in a program, hyper socializing. And then in a couple of weeks, the world shut down. We went into lack of socialization. And for someone who was in my, second half of the 20s, but even anyone who was in their like mid 20s to mid 30s, those are the years where you're capitalizing on not only working with people around people, the people you get to meet at work or outside of work become your group of friends that you will take along with you, most likely until like the end of your life. And it's an age where you don't have commitments or as many commitments typically, and you have more income, disposable income to enjoy and explore life. And so for that, I think it created a bit of like lost years of social experiences, socializing that we now have to catch up later at the age of like 30, when in past generations, typically at that age, that's when your social setting is set up, your career is set up, and you move on to like building a family.
Describe a personal moment of nostalgia from your childhood.
Scholastic Book Fair. I remember my elementary school being transformed into like this magical space. There were puzzles, there were prizes, and my mom would give me $10, and I was rich as heck.
I have to say, I was always a bit of a computer nerd, and also grew up in a pretty strict household. And so when Napster first came about and I was able to download all of the albums that my mom would not let me buy because of the parental warning explicit content, I was like a kid in a candy store. The first song I downloaded was Freak on a Leash by Korn, which is, yeah, it was a vibe. Between that and then LimeWire,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
girl, I had them all.
I have worked in tech all my life and I love tech and I appreciate it. I just have fond memories of my great grandparents' house. My great grandfather hated TV, so we had only one TV in the house, and he would it kind of had made a rule that we could only watch for a certain amount of hours per day during the summer breaks.
In what ways does your generation socialize? How do you connect with each other best? We're in our 30s and 40s, and I believe my generation often uses calendar invites to commit to in-person socializing. I think we value in-person socializing, but we need to use technology to confirm the meeting. And I think that we want more in-person socializing because we're yearning for close-knit communities that we grew up with.
I think we still really enjoy spending time with each other face to face. I know for myself and for a lot of my close friends, the lack of that during COVID was really, really hard. So I still think we are a in-person generation when given the choice.
So I've noticed a lot of people are connecting through like communities or places or experiences with like-minded people. Especially, I find that it's even more true here in Austin. Like if, you know, if you rock climb, then you're gonna find your people at the rock climbing gym. And depending on where you live, I think there's more of a seeking of socialization than others.
What special qualities do you notice in each of the other generations? Baby boomers are resilient.
Grittiness.
Resilient for the boomers because of the fact that they're post-war babies.
Generation X. I believe Gen X is driven, not in a way to appease authority, but I feel like Gen X is driven to live life on their own terms.
Honestly, I think it's that they just fly below the radar.
Maybe counter scarcity, sense of freedom.
Gen Z. Gen Z feel like they came in ready to make a change.
I'm trying to keep them positive. I would say they are very tech savvy, but they also seem more, what's the right word? Kind of like cause oriented, or like they, want their professional life and personal values to very closely align.
Introspective.